All right, last video. I was going to talk about. Uh, hmm. I was going to talk about Deontay Wilder or maybe women's boxing, but I'll just save that for like another night. All right, so let's get right to it. Should Deontay Wilder pursue the rematch or press charges on Tyson Fury? So basically, Deontay Wilder has a rematch date set for the third trilogy fight of him versus Tyson Fury on December 17th of 2020. See, now here's the big problem out of this whole fight. Deontay Wilder is a very well-talented fighter, but there are some major issues. Tyson Fury is still in deep water for Deontay Wilder's, uh, or like between him and Deontay Wilder's fight in the second rematch, which Tyson Fury cheated. And I had made a video before of why I believe Tyson Fury cheated against Deontay Wilder, but I don't have to explain myself. There's more evidence than for what I need to provide to you that will show to you physically of photo evidence on top of doctors and just sports professional athletes, you know, seeing what I'm seeing that Tyson Fury cheated. And with all of what the evidence that shows that Fury did not win the fight fair, and he's not this so-called great boxer that everyone thinks that he is. Um, Fury is definitely in deep water, and he will not be remembered as a good fighter. He'll be looked down by the public one day, where he is the biggest cheater in boxing, and you are a thug, and he will be hated upon. Which he needs to, because at this point, Fury he definitely has like a lot of blood on his hands. He has been caught for drugs that has been in his system back in the 2015 I guess like lawsuit that he got into with like the UKADA. That was like the British Drug Agency Commission that caught him taking steroids and other drugs to have himself all, I guess spiked up on drugs against I think Vladimir Klitschko, if I'm not mistaken. But prior to that Klitschko fight, he was not this great fighter that everyone says that he was. He was going up against a much older, much slower Vladimir Klitschko, where nobody cannot really make a determination if that was even a fight at all. And I'm pretty sure Klitschko, he just didn't want to be there because Tyson Fury did so much cheating in that fight, where he definitely tampered his gloves, as he did with the Wilder fights. And Klitschko, he wasn't even in the best shape to get ready for that fight. And then Tyson Fury even requested a certain type of gloves to be worn for the fight. So that shows that he wasn't playing by the rules. He was wanting to come in there with the bad intention to cheat. And I just don't get it. But I think Tyson Fury, he has a mental disorder where he thinks like, okay, I want to keep like my undefeated record perfect. So I'm going to be perfect by cheating to beat other guys up from other parts of the world to make my legacy better, because I know that I can get away with it. Because why? Oh, why? Because I'm on the hope list, because I have this type of privilege, commission behind me, aka the WBC, which I just call it let the white bitches commission. But, I'm not trying to be racist here. I just say that in the sense of like the WBC is a commission that selects and then deselects fighters that are on the hope list. That's what other alternative medias call them. I just call them fighters that are on the cheat list, like the cheaters list, And then fighters that are not on the cheaters list, those are fighters that have to be put on the beat list, or basically the uh, I guess at the lower totem pole list. That would make a that would make perfect sense. But fighters on the coincidental and fighters on the hopeless that are divided in a certain manner of fighting politics or sports politics to utilize cheating methods for that fighter to be dedicated to win easier in that particular sport. So that doesn't make any sense. That's really evil. And Tyson Fury, he has been caught cheating several times with his drug use of using steroids. And a lot of people like to disagree with this, but it is true. He has been caught for using steroids. He is not a good fighter. He is a crappy fighter. He only pretends that he's a good fighter because he cheats by utilizing certain cheating methods to box in order for him to win. So, you know, the issue is that Tyson Fury is not fighting on a fair playing or on a fair playing fair playing field in order for his career to be actually considered, a good legacy. And not only that, when it comes to this rematch for the trilogy, Walder and his team have stated that there will be extra security for this fight, so that way cheating is not allowed. But I think it needs to go further. Walder needs to expose everything of what Fury has done in the second fight and the first fight, and then file the lawsuit, and then most likely get Fury put in prison, or probably just, dude, honestly, let the sick shit that Fury pulled off on Walder, that's literally attempted murder. And I would definitely keep him banned from the sport of boxing, but I wouldn't even want that. I would, like, if I'm in Walder's shoes, I would want to do execution on him, but I feel like that's pushing it too far. But the best way to really keep Fury away from the ropes or from the ring is to definitely put that motherfucker in jail. Fury is by far the biggest and most evil fighter that a man could ever see in sports. And I just don't know what to say, but Deontay Wilder needs to knock Fury out. And I mean, just like Jack Johnson days, Deontay Wilder will make history to be the very first champion in boxing for, I guess, Black Americans to defend his title twice, yeah to match with Muhammad Ali for 10 title defenses, lose his title, comes back and beats Fury within the third rematch to take his title back, and yet claims himself the first undisputed back-to-back champion. That's actually a huge success. And I think that would definitely change the sport of boxing. And then when Wilder is ready to retire, he can vacate his belts. And I would honestly even go let the Errol Spence route. Have him and Al Heyman talk it out, unify the belt, and just have one big, gigantic, undisputed belt. No, like, WBC belts, just one big belt. One face, one division. And that's really how it needs to be. See, now, other people would want to have multiple belts, which I used to be a proponent of that, but now that I think about it, boxing is only meant for one champion and one face of the division. So, I think that really makes a lot of sense because, with so many people in a division, why would you want to have multiple champions where there is party politics within those divisions and you don't know which title organization is to be the best title organization to support the right fighters? Which, I mean, it would be up to the promotion, to the promoters and the TV networks that get them on those fights. But I mean, still, it like it still doesn't hold. Yeah, it still doesn't hurt to hold, or it shouldn't hold back fighters from getting good fights, so that way they can get a title shot as soon as possible. Because the average boxer getting a title shot usually gets it within at least 20 fights or less. But I mean, if you have let the management in your pockets to give you those promotion deals to say, hey, if you beat this guy and knock him out in the third or fourth round, we could definitely get you a title shot. And that's what I don't like about boxing. It needs to be just like basketball or whatever competitive organized sport where there are set systematic paths that you have to take within your boxing career in order to become a champion. And how you do that is that you should have competitive tournaments where if you are in the top 10 or top 25 or top 30, there should be a huge ass tournament of those top 30 or even top 50 to fight for a world title opportunity. That would definitely make boxers way more better in the sport, and it would encourage people to fight a lot more cleaner in the sport because they're now taking the incentive to fight for more money. Even if you lose your world title opportunity, that is offering more money to the table because more people are willing to see a boxing fight. Shit, like there would be boxing tournaments like every single day or even year, yeah, or even hours. Just 1 hour, one boxing tournament for heavyweight division, and then a couple hours later, a female, cruiserweight tournament. I don't know, but but the options are so good because that's what boxing needs. See now the NBA or basketball, they have that type of Super Six tournament, but that's more of like the playoffs, which I mean I think honestly it should definitely be a little bit more expanded where after there's a world championship, playoff finals for let's just say the NBA, which I'm just going a little bit off track here. Though like those winners of that particular region can fight other winners of different regions of different parts of what the world to compete at a world international championship, which I mean that's just a little bit off topic, but for boxing, that's a great idea. Having a super tournament, like a super boxing tournament for a world, yeah, like a super world title tournament for every top fighter to go up against all the other top fighters to compete for a world title. And basically, the champion is fighting the next contender that is ready to fight, yeah, that champion. And that actually makes a lot of sense because that means that within that tournament, the champion is no longer, is no longer avoiding let their mandatory challengers. So if the champion chooses to back out of the fight, the champion will lose their title, and the contender becomes the brand new champion. Or actually, no, it should be the champion vacates their title, they go back to being a top contender, and then the contender fights another contender that is behind their mandatory, basically let the mandatory fights the fighter behind him or over him or whoever is within that top three of like the top fighters that are supposed to be on the mandatory listing, and then they fight it out, and then boom, that crowns someone becoming champion. So I think that would be a lot better and a lot more successful because it would encourage fighters to, become more hungry in the sport of boxing to do more, proper incentives to, start, competing for a high level competition for, titles and all that stuff. But yeah, in regards to the Tyson Fury rematch, Wilder should probably pursue this rematch and then beat Fury. Then after he beats him, Wilder should pursue, lawsuit charges against him, get him locked up, sue the living crap out of Top Rank and whoever was behind it, and then, just go about like your life. I mean, honestly, Wilder is already at this point at a high level, and Fury is just afraid of what Wilder will do to him in the ring. If it were to be a fair fight, Fury will always try to find a way to cheat, but I don't think Wilder's that stupid. I think Wilder at this point really wants to kill Fury, and he knows that Fury is afraid of him. Fury cannot punch, and he can't even fight. And if you even just take a look at, like, the first fight between him and Fury, Walter was beating the crap out of Fury. Fury wasn't able to handle Walter, and I mean, he was only able to handle Walter because he was cheating by using his tampered glove to hit Walter at a certain part of his skull in order to make him dizzy and then try to, like, trip him around, and then he tried playing mind games with Walter, which was really weird. But I mean, Fury cannot really he can't really hit somebody hard enough to knock him out. He's just more of like a boxer puncher where he just punches, he gets away, and then he punches a little bit, then gets away, and then when he finds a good opening, then he goes after you. But I don't really see that out of Fury, and that's not really a good thing to do because you eventually get hit and you're probably going to ruin yourself in the fight to get knocked out quicker. So that's pretty much my thoughts on this. Let me know what y'all think about this. Do you think Walter should pursue the rematch with Fury, or should he just go all the way and just press charges on Tyson Fury? And just say screw the rematch. Let me just get all the money I can get from a lawsuit. Because I understand why Walter is not going to push for a lawsuit right away, because he knows that there's still a crap load of money to be made in the Fury final rematch. And on top of that, if Walter does beat Fury, guess who's next? Joshua. Joshua, like, pretty much like anybody says, you can't force a fighter to, fight another fighter. But if Joshua is, the final option in the final chapter of Deontay Wilder's legacy, then Joshua better fight him, because Joshua will be looked at as a fraud. He will not be looked at as like one of the best heavyweights to reign as a world champion, and he's just gonna screw himself. He's not going to make himself any better. He's going to make himself worse. So I think Walder, he has a lot to prove to the world, and there will be a massive crowd of supporters that will care about him when he raises up, his his uh his seriousness against Fury, when he steps into the ring December 17th to knock Fury out. So I think that's what Walder is planning on doing, and I really hope he does get the win. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what y'all think. Do you think Walder should pursue the court charges against Fury, or should he just go for the rematch? Alright, so see y'all later. Have a good night. Bye.